Hi friends, Erin here. This is supposed to be our unedited garden stroll, and it will be, but I'm starting in the kitchen because it has been absolutely pouring all morning long, actually since before dawn this morning. I am not complaining. It's been, I think, a month since we've had any measurable rain. Things have gotten so incredibly dry. In fact, yesterday in the grocery store, I ran into there's a kind of estate garden near us that is often on tours and stuff. And I ran into the head gardener at the grocery store yesterday, and we were sort of commiserating about the strangest gardening year we've had, which started with all this amazing plant growth because we had just tons and tons and tons of rain in spring. And you guys probably saw the video. I think it was a garden stroll from June. I mean, the hostas were huge. Everything looked amazing. The clematis were just kept blooming like crazy. And then it just shut off. The spigot just turned off and we've had nothing. I have been watering a lot, and I thought, first of all, a couple of things. First, I'm going to talk about rain. Then we're going to talk about, I do have a little bit of viewer mail because it's been, we've missed 2 weeks of garden strolls, which is why I didn't want to miss today, even though the weather is terrible. By the way, it's so dark outside, even though I'm filming this at like 8:30 in the morning, that the camera has an automatic low light setting, and it immediately went onto the low light setting. That is how dark it is here. There's Fiona right there. So, rain. We always have to keep me on task on these. This is the problem with these unedited videos, because in a regular video, when I take a tangent, I just edit that out, but we don't do a lot of that with these. Anyway, so I have been watering the garden. First of all, the rules of general watering are if you have something new, you just have to keep watering it. And I have been doing a lot of planting this late summer, so it is so important to keep things moist now. And make sure everything is well hydrated. I also have been sprinkler watering the garden. If you don't know already, I only have drip irrigation in 2 places right now. We'll talk about that, which is the skinny bed right outside this window. The window box is behind me here, which is only like 2 feet wide. There's just no way to keep that bed wet enough without drip irrigation there. And then the vegetable beds in the garden. And then I do have drip irrigation set up in the shrub border between us and the neighbor, but I look at that as a temporary situation. That was just to make sure we could keep those trees watered last year, and to a certain extent this year, because I've been running that as well while they're getting established. But that's not like a long-term thing. The goal is to get those plants established so they can handle whatever comes at them. And that's what I wanted to bring up, is that, if you have watered your plants correctly from the beginning of time with you, which is to say infrequently but deeply, they should be able to stand what we've been dealing with here for the past month. They should be able to survive that. That doesn't mean they're going to look good. It just means they're not going to die. So in the effort to keep some of this garden looking good, that's really why I've been watering parts of the garden that don't have new plants in them. It's just to keep the garden looking good. But unless you're in a very extended period of drought, and I don't consider what we had an extended period of drought, if your plants have been established well, so they put down deep roots, they should be able to tolerate this and not die. So when we're talking about getting plants established, that's really what the goal is, to have them survive these periods of time without water. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to look good. So when we walk around the garden, although I'm sure everything is looking much better just from the rain today, you will see some things that are not looking good, and that's because they will survive. But my goal here, I've tried my best to keep things looking good, but also I'm keeping things, within the realm of something I can manage. And thank goodness we are on a well, so we don't have to pay a water bill. If I had to pay a water bill, yeah, I probably wouldn't have done that, and I just would have said, this is what the garden looks like right now. Ouch. This is iced coffee this morning. Okay, let's roll into viewer mail, and then I'll talk about where I've been the last 2 weeks, or why there wasn't a video the past couple of weeks. If you are new here, welcome. As part of these unedited garden strolls, I also do, people send this is sort of a project we started, gosh, no, it's not quite 2 years, but it's at least 1.5 years. People send in letters and postcards from gardens they visited and share with us what inspired them in those gardens. I share that with you so we can all share in the inspiration. So this is from Aline. Hi Erin, enclosed is a brochure from Ryman Gardens. Just returned from my annual visit, this time with my 2 sisters. It's been a hot and dry summer here in Iowa in August, but for the most part, the gardens are doing well. See, there you go. Love your gardens and your knowledge of your plants. Sincerely, Aline. And this is Ryman Gardens, and this is Ryman Gardens is at Iowa State University. I love that she goes annually. So I do love a garden brochure. Some gardens do such a nice job with their brochures. Excellent map here. And they have all different garden areas listed in here. Butterfly wings, rose collections, water-wise gardens, children's gardens. Really beautiful. Looks like a beautiful garden. Not one I've been to, but certainly one. I think some conference is in Iowa next year. I'll bet you any money. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up on that tour. I don't know what that conference is off the top of my head. If you ever want to share something from any garden that you've visited that has inspired you, the address is always down in the description. The quick way to tell you what it is that it's P.O. Box 99. This is from Danielle, who has sent me these before. Danielle is amazing because Danielle makes these beautiful fold-out cards herself. And this features adorable baby birds. So this is, Danielle, these are pictures of some of the baby birds that have visited their garden, their yard this year. Black swans, gray-legged gooses. Look at those adorable little babies. Here is some pictures of, well, also I see, is that Phlomis? I'm not sure if that's Phlomis. I'm not sure what that plant is. Anyway, I'm gonna hold this up because she always includes QR codes, and you should be able to grab the QR code off your screen, unless you're doing this on your phone, in which case you gotta look at it at a different screen. Here we go. Scan the first code to see Danielle hand feeding the geese, and the second one is a reel of Howard the Horrible chasing the geese. So there you go. Thank you, Danielle. Always appreciate those. She does, I mean, these are just really beautiful. She does such a beautiful job on these. They're gorgeous. So we have missed 2 weeks of unedited garden strolls. The first one we missed is because it was my nephew's wedding. And so, which was on the Saturday of that weekend. We actually left our car. We had planned to leave our car where the wedding was and then get a ride home. So we got up early on Sunday and ran down to get our car. By the time I got back, I mean, we were all tired. So anyway, but interestingly enough, the Wednesday before, I found out that I was going to be making some bouquets for the rehearsal dinner, which is really an honor. I mean, how lovely that anyone would ask me to do that. Because as you know, I am not a floral designer. I don't really know what's happening with that kind of thing. I enjoy arranging flowers, but usually it's just stuff I pick from my garden and throw in a vase, and I'm just happy to see the flowers. So I'm going to put up a couple of pictures from that. I ended up making bouquets, so everything was picked from my garden. A few things came from my sister-in-law's garden, who was the mother of the groom. And then I went to the grocery store and I bought 10 really gorgeous roses that were so beautiful, and they opened so well. They were pretty tight when I got them. I bought them on Thursday. I put them in quite warm to hot water overnight. And then I did this thing where you turn a rose upside down and you spin it, and they opened so beautifully. And interestingly, the exact same roses were in the bouquets on the table bouquets or table arrangements at the actual wedding that were designed by a professional. I thought, oh, it looks like we planned this. Anyway, I was super happy with how they turned out. I'll throw up, I didn't have a lot of time to take pictures of them. I made those all Friday morning. There were 6 of them. And it took me about a half an hour per bouquet to make them. I'm sure a professional would do it much quicker. I really jammed them full I don't know restraint when it comes to that stuff. I was happy with how they turned out. Anyway, so I will put that little update for you because I think I did share some of that in one of these videos. Or at least I think I told you that that's why there weren't a lot of flowers in the garden, because I was cutting everything for that wedding. And then the last little update thing is that I had started doing memberships on YouTube. So memberships are sort of additional perks. You subscribe, it's a monthly fee, and you get like additional little perks. I have been resistant to doing this because I always thought I was going to start like a Patreon or something, because I would love to have the ability to offer special things to people who are more interested in interacting with me or doing something with me. It seemed to me like managing another essentially social media type thing, which is kind of what Patreon is, kind of, seemed like that's too much. So I just decided to do it here on YouTube. I'm not sure. You're supposed to see a join button underneath underneath the channel when you're on like the page. You're supposed to see a join button there, which is different from subscribe. I believe you have to subscribe first and then you can become a member if you want to. I'm not actually seeing it, but that might be because I own the channel. I don't know. Anyway, there is a link to go straight to the memberships. I will put the link in the description below if you want to learn more about it. I've done it at 3 levels. The first one is basically like if you just want to support the channel, which of course I appreciate. And you get little perks like special badges, which right now are just stars, but I'm designing some fun little badges. You get like, there's a little roll call of who the members are and stuff. Members comments go into a different section under the comments, so I will see those first and be able to answer those more quickly. Then the second level has additional perks. Early access to videos. I'm just going to be very honest with you guys. Sometimes that might mean you might see a video 24 hours or even 2 days ahead of somebody else. Sometimes that might mean you might get access to it an hour before. That's just how my videos go. You guys know that I'm terrible at consistency, and it's just the only way that I can kind of manage this channel to fit in with the rest of my life. So you guys know I just do the best I can, and that's all I can do. So very honest about that. There's some other benefits there. And then there's a very high level. And the main perk with that very high level, if anybody is interested in that, is that every 3 months you'll get a 15-minute, we can do a video chat, we can do a FaceTime call, we can do a voice call, whatever, with me to basically, I don't know, you can ask me garden questions, whatever. So every 3 months, so after you're at that level for 3 months, you get one of these calls. We can arrange one of these calls if you want it. Same thing, another 3 months later. That's kind of if you really want to do that. So to be clear, subscribe to the channel is always free. You get to subscribe to this channel for free. And if you haven't done that, I encourage you to do that. If you want to do a little something else to support the channel or get more involved, you can do one of those membership things. I don't want to push that. I'm not going to be pushing this all the time on you, but I did want to let you know that I have started doing that. My hope is, oh, and also there's going to be like special messages for members. So like if you sign up right now, you'll see a post that no one else has seen yet in the community tab. There's some exciting things that might be happening here soon that members, if there are any, because I just started this, will get to know about first. So that's it. I'm not going to give you any more of a pitch. That's all there is to that. Okay, now I'm going to, because I am going to do a little bit of editing in this video, I'm going to talk you through something that's happening outside that we just did yesterday, but I don't want to stand out there and give a long explanation, so this is going to become a voiceover. Okay, this spot that you see here is an area, I'm guessing this is maybe roughly 10 feet in diameter. This is an area of the grass that completely died. And I mentioned this, I think, in the last garden stroll video. And during that video, I mentioned that something was going on with this patch of grass. I'm not sure if I had an inkling of what that might be at that point or not, but I don't know, maybe a week ago or so, I stuck my hand in that soil and just kind of pulled up on the grass, and the grass just peeled off. It peeled back like opening up a tuna can. And what I found when that peeled off, so first of all, there are no roots of grass left whatsoever. What I saw when I peeled that back was the very coarse, grainy soil that is the number one way you know that you have jumping worms, and a lot of jumping worms. I've talked about jumping worms before. I have told you I filmed a video in spring. Actually, I don't even know if I have that video footage anymore, to be honest. Hopefully I do. I'm gonna have to do a bigger video on jumping worms because sometimes even bringing them up leads to more questions. But suffice to say, for now anyway, jumping worms are invasive worms that came from Asia. They were found in Wisconsin in 2014. They've been in other parts of the east part of the country longer. They seem to be a lot more active up here. I believe when I was researching the other video, they have now been found in 32 or 38 states, something like that. So they are making their way around. Jumping worms are, what they do is they live in the top few inches of the soil, like 4 inches or less, and they're voracious eaters. They consume organic matter at such an incredible rate, and that what you're looking at when you see that chunky soil is all their worm castings. Once they've gone through eating the organic matter that might be laying on the top layers of the soil, then they start eating the roots of plants, and that would be sort of thin roots. They won't eat like a really thick root. They won't eat a very deep root because they don't go below, I don't even know, I think it's 4 inches. So they just live right here at the surface. They reproduce rapidly. There are 3 generations of earthworms, I believe, every year here. Their cocoon, they just, lay eggs like crazy. Those cocoons will overwinter, and that will become next year's first crop of jumping worms. I've had jumping worms in this garden since 2014, and they have been basically manageable. Last year was the first year I started noticing like some plants not doing so well because of them. This year, the population of jumping worms went absolutely crazy, and I believe that's because we had such a rainy spring. The cocoons do need moisture to hatch. If they don't hatch this year, I believe they can continue to overwinter. So whether they overwintered from previous years and then hatched this year, or whether it was just that all of the cocoons that were out there hatched, I can just say that our jumping worm population has been absurd this year. So this is the first year I've ever had jumping worms affect the grass. And this looked very much like grub damage. Sometimes a large population of grubs will do exactly the same thing, eat all the roots, you just peel the soil back, there's nothing there. So yesterday, Mr. Much More Patient and I decided to tackle this problem because we don't really know what to do about it, but we figured if we have to replant grass, we'd rather do it now than spring. It's much easier to grow grass now than it is in spring in Wisconsin because our springs are so cold for so long. So we just kept peeling back grass, or what had been grass, until we reached an area where the grass was firm, where it didn't just peel right off. As he would peel the grass back, and then I would go in there and collect the jumping worms. But this is what these jumping worms looked like in these tubs. Like, so disgusting. Jumping worms are known for they're erratic. They thrash around, they kind of move like a snake. They're sometimes called snake worms because of that. Basically, we collect all these, and like I said, we filled up 2 quart-sized containers with these worms. Then, the only way I know of that you can manage the cocoons is that they will be killed at 104 degrees. So, which means that if you have a very hot compost pile that can stay hot for long enough to kill them, I don't know what that is exactly, you should be able to kill the cocoons in your compost pile. Or a lot of times they're in bags of mulch and stuff, so a lot of the advice is to let your mulch in the bag sit on your driveway and cook for like 3 days to try to solarize any eggs that might be in there, or jumping worms. We couldn't really do that here, so I used the propane weed torch and went over all the soil. What was interesting is that actually drew more jumping worms to the surface. They were then incinerated. And then Mr. Much More Patient will kind of rake up the soil and disturb it. so that we could kind of, I don't know if this worked or not. I didn't really know what to do in this case, so I just did. And by the way, I don't think anybody knows exactly what to do in this case. It's not like there is definitive advice out there about what you're supposed to be doing. We just raked this up, fluffed this all up. I just kept burning it with a torch. We got new topsoil, put that down, seeded it. So that's what you're looking at here, is this area where we've just replaced this grass. That was not a project we expected to have to do. I just remembered why there was no video last week, and that's because I had a proper garden tour video up last week with names of plants on the screen and slow panning, old-fashioned style. So that's why there was no garden stroll last week. So obviously everything is getting tamped down by the rain. Again, please do not think that is a complaint. Sorry about the sound of the raindrops on the umbrella here. So here's the front border. I just want to say these Bidens have this is White Delight Bidens. And there is a White Delight improved. This might be that. I don't know which one it is. But these were 4-inch pots. And one planted in each of these spots. It's fairly shocking to me how much they've grown. They really took some time to get going, but they have really come into their own. And I don't deadhead these at all. They just kind of bury their dead. It's great. The mangaves are looking so good. I measured them the other day. They are 36 inches from point to point now. I measured them because I was getting a quote from a garden center to overwinter them in their greenhouse. The quote came back and it's way too much. So I'm going to try to overwinter those inside. I'll just figure out a way to make it work. They should be fine. It's just a matter of finding the room for them. But yeah, it was much more than I thought it was going to be. Apologies that my car is parked in the driveway. When we came home last night, oh, see. Okay, so here's a victim of rain. Look at these poor dahlias have flopped. Oh, that's a shame. Oh well, we'll make a bouquet out of those. Just want to kind of give you an overview of everything. I'm trying to go slow. I know you guys, I whipped the camera around way too much. Last time you were here, there were some shrubs here. Now we've got perennials here, and I'll show you the garden that we're going to do as soon as it stops raining, basically. But there have been some changes over here in the shrub border, and I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't make a video of doing it because I knew people would get so mad at me for pulling out other shrubs. I knew that would happen with the video that I made where I took out the Annabelles and put in flowerfuls. I knew that would happen, and I expect it, and I understand that some people get very angry about good plants being removed from a garden. And I think that's great. I think you should do whatever you want in your own garden. And I think I will definitely do whatever I want in my garden too. And sometimes I want to change out plants. That's what we've done here. So this is Diamond Rouge, panicle hydrangea, planted there. I removed an Incredible there. We'll talk about that in a second. Just hold your angst about that. This is low. Oh God, it's now, see, it's an aronia. Aronia. It's not ground. Get the ground out of it. That's an aronia. That was a sample plant from Proven Winners. This is Invincible Sublime, which is a new one. I think, well, new to me. Anyway, a lime-colored, oh my God, arborescence hydrangea. So I'm actually very much looking forward to that one too. It's a baby, but it'll grow up. So there was just, I think there was an Incredible there too. And then there was an Incredible there. Those two got the hook for those plants. And then over here, there was one more Incredible kind of in the middle of this. What I did was pull that out, and I planted 2 white diamonds hydrangeas over here instead of those. So here's the deal with why the Incredibles over here, Incredibles, got the hook over here. And while we do that, I will just kind of walk down here so you have something to look at while I talk. I loved Incredible so much when it came out. I loved that the flowers were like absurdly huge. I loved that look of like shockingly huge. And you might have noticed this through my videos, these garden strolls this year, that the hydrangeas that I find myself liking the most are the ones that don't have such huge flower heads. The ones that are a little bit more delicate. I think they go better with my garden style that I currently have. So that's why I did that. I just wanted to change. So those got rehomed, and that's the end of that. Oh, okay. Here's the, there's my 2 containers of worms waiting to die. Those are 100% full of worms. And no, I'm not opening up because they smell terrible when they die. Angiosaurophytes hetera is going up to the ceiling, up to the roof. Unbelievable. It will get a huge cutback soon when it comes back. When it comes back, oh my gosh, when it comes inside. Okay, so for instance, these are 2 of the hydrangeas that I've been pointing out kind of in most of these garden strolls, talking about how, oh, I left my good spade out in the rain. Bad, Erin. Talking about how much I like them. Firelight and quick fire, or quick fire and firelight. I always forget which is which, and since it's wet, I'm not going in. Anyways, both of these I like. This one's got kind of a typical panicle. I particularly like this one. I think this is quick fire, with the more open flowers on it. So you see what I'm talking about, how I just kind of, I've been drawn to that look more. I can't tell you how everything is, as well as it being sort of flopped down, has perked up so much. Here is the original banana. It's doing well, and even though I have not been really giving it a lot of supplemental water, which will make a banana grow very quickly. This dahlia here is a surprise to me. And the only thing I think, I don't know which one it is. I don't know where it came from. Isn't it a beauty? I am shocked by how gorgeous that is. And looking so much better than all my other dahlias. Because everything has, oh, we're going to talk about that at the front bed again. Because everything has been so dry, the dahlias, especially on the front, the cucumber beetles have decimated everything. And the last time I had a cucumber beetle problem was in a particularly dry area of the garden. So I think it's one of those things where they are, you know, they attack plants that are stressed. So this part of the garden over here, I think I actually might have pointed this out in the garden tour too. This is a part of the garden where most of those perennials are going to go. Yes, the thistle has come back again, and I will deal with it yet again. But this is where most of those are going to go, in this area. I've added a few other plants. The sort of bright chartreuse that you see in there is a neon dogwood. Thought I'd try that right there. I think that'd be very pretty. If there's enough sun in that spot, I think. And I need to get planting things along that side of the creek because you can see that it's really eroding. I might actually transplant some geranium macrorhizum along that edge too to try to stabilize that a little bit. I've gotten some extra shade plants that'll be going in here as well. But that garden over there that I'm going to be doing is mostly shade, which is a lesson. I'll talk about that more in the video when I make it, but sort of a lesson that I learned after many years, that it's mostly shade over there. Gosh, amazing what rain can do for a garden after it's been dry. Everything just looks, I don't know, so much happier. I would be too if I finally got some water, I guess. Especially shade gardens. Boy, do they look good. I always point out Diane Claire pulmonaria here because it's just so pretty. But I just divided that last year and planted that clump and that clump. I think I'm going to divide it again because I love this plant so much. I'd be more than happy to move it around, especially perhaps in that area where I pulled out some of that lily of the valley. Might be quite pretty over there. One of the areas that didn't, actually none of this got covered in the, I got to change hands with the umbrella. One of the areas that didn't get covered in the proper garden tour video was over here. And you guys know this area well, so there's not a lot to say, except that the ground cover that you see around the dwarf Alberta spruces there is Geranium macrorhizum. That is Geranium macrorhizum that I divided out of this patch, or maybe that patch, last year. Doesn't matter which patch, because you can see it filled in right away. And I just kind of plunked those in. And that's actually just mulch, mostly, that I stuck them in. Look at how well that has filled in. This is the beauty of Geranium macrorhizum, and I'm so happy. It looks so much better than a mulched berm there, to have those there. So that's probably what I'll do again to shore up that that side of the creek there. This is what Heckenacloa macra looks like when it rains. Actually, I mean, it's still pretty. It's just funny how it just goes full flop. It'll stand right. The best thing about that plant is that it'll stand right up again. It's been so dry here. Are you sick of me saying that? That all these plants have just been covered in dust because we live on this gravel road. There was a movement afoot to have people water the road so that the dust would be better. I don't think anybody else was going to do that. That's fine. I'm finally getting some castor bean growing. Would have been nice if this guy had gotten going earlier. I don't know why they were, I think I did get them out in the garden quite slowly, and it was cool, so maybe that's why. But anyway, I love those castor beans. Poisonous as anything, so duly noted. Most plants that we have in our gardens have a certain level of toxicity. So when people say, you know, can't plant plants that are toxic, I don't know what you're planting, to be honest, other than herbs and vegetables. Okay, so I bring you to this area because I did plant another one of the neon dogwoods right there, which is going to be really pretty. That's all raspberry, like wild raspberry that you see behind there. That's all the neighbors. I'm sure they won't mind if we chop it back to control it a little bit. So I'll probably get the weed whacker out and take care of that at some point. This is Haas Halo hydrangea. I pointed this out before, but still looking so beautiful. Probably still my favorite hydrangea. This little reflecting pool water feature that I have is just perfect in the rain. It's so beautiful when it rains. Oh, look at this. Look what's blooming over here. Toad lilies are blooming. Love them. They look like little orchids. They look just like orchids. People would think they are orchids. I wonder if they're in the same family. I can't think they are. Anyway, gorgeous. Fun to see those. Those are always a nice late summer, early fall show offer. Here's where we planted the flowerfuls, which are looking great. So I mentioned in that video, if you saw it, that I changed the spacing on these after the video, which I did. And then somebody said, why are you leaving that big space right there? So apparently I didn't explain that in the video very well. I'm saving that space right there. First of all, that they grow 4 feet wide. So that'll fill up to the edge of the window frame there. Because I'm trying to achieve some balance here. So I'm going to take the plants that are planted on that side of the chimney, and then I'm going to plant them over here as well, which basically is Sanguisorba, some alliums, and some more Calamintha Montrose White. So that's what's going on here, and that's why there's a big gap there, because plants will be going there, just not this year, because we're all done buying things. I did want to show you this. One of the things I've been mentioning quite a lot this year is that I was looking for more fizzy mizzies to fill in this area, and look, more fizzy mizzies have arrived and filled in this area so nicely. That's because Michelle from Gardening TLC YouTube channel was up here on Friday. She wanted to do a little tour in my garden, and so I warned her it looks terrible. I don't really like showing off my garden. I mean, I like showing it off to you guys because you have been watching it all year and you know you're clued into what's happening. I get nervous about showing it to other people, but Michelle was very nice. And she came up anyway. Long story short, she brought me some fizzy mizzies. So big thanks to Michelle. I don't know when that video is going up, but check out her channel. It'll probably go up this week, I'm guessing. It's probably going to take her forever to edit it. But anyway, so that was really sweet of her. She also brought me a couple other really fun perennials, including Baby Joe eupatorium, which is like a short form of Joe Pyeweed, and some spigula, which I have grown before, but it didn't come back for me, so I'm anxious to give it another try. And the rest of these plants, most of these, are for that new garden over there. A couple of them are for other places, but that'll give you a little preview of what's going to happen over there. I just realized, I'm going to edit this into the middle of the video. I just realized that twice in this video I talk about watering and this front garden, and then I never talked about it. Just in the past couple of days, I have started considering adding drip irrigation to this garden. And it's not drip irrigation that I would have on a timer. It's just a drip system with like a hose attachment on it that I could plug in when needed. In part because this garden is so crowded, it's almost impossible to water this garden. So I can hand water some things, but it's so jammed in there. I mean, I can't even get to that container to water it this year from the front. I have to go around the back. So I am thinking, potentially, just because of the terrible cucumber beetle bug issue. I mean, they're all over all these dahlias. They've just ruined them. Just because this year was so bad that I think I don't really want to go through another year like this. So perhaps next spring, before all of this is doing what it's doing now, I may put in a drip system that if I needed to, I wouldn't plan on doing it, but if I needed to, I could connect to a hose once a week or something like that and just get some water running in here. It would probably be a good thing to do. And given how full this bed is, you'd never see it anyways. Well, I mean, listen, I would love a day. I'm bummed I'm not going to be able to work in the garden today, probably at all. But this rain is sweet relief, and it is really actually quite beautiful out here. All right, nice umbrella. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. I know that was probably quite long and a lot of gabbing, but after 2 weeks, there's a lot to update you on. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have questions, let me know. Have a great day in your garden. I've been working on editing a video that I filmed last weekend. That will be up probably Monday or Tuesday. And then if we can get some other stuff shot. Probably. Some of those plants, I was just going to tell you that I'm not walking back over there, but where the spade was, I'm digging out the hostas that I said I should dig out. One of the things I've learned is that I shouldn't wait for the replacement plant to come into my life before I remove a plant that's bothering me. And that's why hostas that don't perform in an area that they don't like, that aren't particularly good, have looked terrible for years over there because I kept waiting for a plant to come to replace them with. We're not doing that anymore. So, well, sometimes we will. Generally speaking, I'm not going to do that anymore. So I was working on digging those out in between dealing with worms yesterday. So maybe I'll show you. I actually do have a couple of things that's going on there. This is the part of the video where I babble. We're going to stop talking now. Have a good day.